Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations in Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're shifting our focus from organizational foresight to something even more fundamental: how to apply futures thinking to your own life, career, and personal development. Throughout this series, we've explored super shifts, the transform model, scenario planning, and world building, all powerful tools for organizations navigating transformation. But here's something I've noticed in my years of teaching these frameworks. People often master foresight for their companies but neglect to apply the same thinking to their own lives. It's a bit like the cobbler's children having no shoes, right? We help organizations prepare for multiple futures while our personal plans remain linear, reactive, and based on outdated assumptions about how careers, learning, and life itself will unfold. Today, we're changing that. We're going to explore how to develop personal foresight, the ability to anticipate, prepare for, and shape your own future in a world of accelerating change and transformation. Let's dive in. Why personal foresight matters now. Personal foresight has always been valuable, but several factors make it absolutely essential today. First, traditional life trajectories are dissolving. The predictable pattern of education, career, retirement that defined previous generations has given way to something far more fluid and unpredictable. Consider this. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports that the average person now changes jobs 12 times during their working life. Many of today's fastest-growing roles didn't even exist a decade ago, and the half-life of professional skills continues to shrink. What you learned in school or early career may become obsolete far faster than previous generations experienced. Meanwhile, longevity is increasing, potentially extending careers by decades and creating entirely new life stages. Many people will live to 100 or beyond, requiring us to reimagine how we structure our careers, learning, relationships, and finances across a much longer lifespan. And of course, the super shifts we've been discussing throughout this series, from AI and automation to climate adaptation to fundamental shifts in social structures, are rewriting the rules of work, health, wealth, and connection on a scale and at a pace we've never seen before. This convergence of forces creates both extraordinary challenges and opportunities for individuals. Those who develop personal foresight capabilities will navigate this transformation with greater resilience, agency, and purpose. Those who don't may find themselves increasingly reactive, disoriented, and vulnerable to disruption. The good news? The same foresight tools that help organizations thrive amid transformation can be adapted to guide your personal journey. Let's look at how. The personal foresight process. Effective personal foresight isn't a one-time exercise. It's an ongoing process with 4 interconnected elements: scanning, scenarios, strategy, and action. Let's explore each one. Scanning your personal horizon. Just as organizations scan the environment for signals of change, individuals need to develop habits for spotting trends and shifts that might impact their future. Start by identifying the key domains that matter most for your personal future. These typically include work and career evolution, skill requirements and learning pathways, financial landscapes and opportunities, health and longevity developments, community and relationship patterns, geographic and living arrangement shifts. For each domain, develop simple practices for staying alert to emerging changes. This might include following relevant newsletters or podcasts, engaging with diverse professional networks, or setting up Google Alerts for topics important to your future. The key is building scanning into regular routines rather than treating it as a special activity. Perhaps you dedicate 30 minutes each week to reviewing curated information sources. Or maybe you create a habit of asking what's changing in this field whenever you meet someone new. Whatever approach you choose, focus on identifying patterns rather than isolated facts. What connections do you see across different domains? What weak signals might be early indicators of significant shifts? What assumptions about your future might need questioning? For example, if you work in marketing, you might notice not just how AI is changing your specific role, but also how it's transforming client expectations, compensation models, required skills, and even geographic constraints on where you can work. These interconnected insights provide a much richer picture than tracking any single trend in isolation. Creating personal future scenarios. Once you're regularly scanning for relevant changes, the next step is developing scenarios that explore how your personal and professional landscape might evolve. Unlike organizational scenarios that typically focus on external factors, personal scenarios need to integrate both external changes and your own evolving goals, interests, and circumstances. They're not just about what might happen in the world, but about how your life might unfold within that changing context. I recommend creating at least 3 distinct personal scenarios with 5 to 10-year horizons. First, a baseline scenario that extrapolates current trends and situations. If your industry, health, relationships, and location continued on their current trajectory, what would your life look like in 5 years? This isn't necessarily your preferred scenario, it's simply what might happen if current patterns persist. Second, a transformation scenario that incorporates significant positive changes. Perhaps new opportunities created by emerging technologies, societal shifts, or personal breakthroughs. What's the best realistic future you can imagine given the signals you're seeing? Third, a challenge scenario that considers potential disruptions, health issues, industry upheaval, economic shifts, or other factors that might fundamentally alter your path. What significant obstacles might you face, and how would they reshape your options? The goal isn't to predict which scenario will happen, but to expand your thinking about what's possible and prepare for different eventualities. By considering multiple futures, you develop broader peripheral vision and greater adaptability. For each scenario, consider key questions like, what work would you be doing and how would you be doing it? Where would you be living and with whom? What skills and knowledge would you need? What resources, financial, social, etc., would support you? What challenges would you face? And what opportunities would you pursue? Make these scenarios vivid and personal. The more you can immerse yourself in these possible futures, the better prepared you'll be to navigate toward desired outcomes and away from undesirable ones. Developing your personal strategy. With enriched awareness from scanning and expanded possibilities from scenario exploration, you can now develop a more robust personal strategy. Unlike traditional 5-year plans that assume a predictable path, effective personal strategy in a supershift world focuses on creating adaptability, resilience, and strategic optionality, the ability to take advantage of emerging opportunities while mitigating potential threats. Start by identifying your core assets, capabilities, relationships, resources, and experiences that provide value across multiple possible futures. These might include transferable skills like critical thinking, communication, or creative problem solving, diverse professional networks, financial reserves, or deep expertise in areas likely to remain relevant despite transformation. Next, identify strategic moves that increase your options rather than narrowing them. Instead of committing everything to a single path, look for choices that open multiple possible futures. Learning investments that apply across several potential careers, relationship building that connects you to diverse opportunities, financial choices that create flexibility rather than constraints, health practices that enhance long-term resilience and vitality. The most powerful strategic choices often create asymmetric opportunities, options with limited downside but substantial upside potential. These might include side projects that could grow into alternative careers, relationships that expose you to emerging fields, or small investments in developing capabilities that might become increasingly valuable. Taking adaptive action. The final element of personal foresight is translating insights into concrete actions while maintaining flexibility as conditions change. Begin by identifying near-term moves that align with multiple scenarios. These no-regret actions make sense regardless of which future unfolds. For example, building your capacity for continuous learning enhances your prospects across virtually any scenario. Then establish regular reflection points for reassessing both external conditions and your own evolving priorities. Perhaps quarterly, you revisit your scanning insights, check assumptions underlying your scenarios, and adjust your strategic choices accordingly. Remember that in personal foresight, success isn't measured by perfect prediction, but by effective adaptation. You're aiming for what futurist Peter Schwartz calls robust adaptability, the capacity to thrive across a range of possible futures rather than optimizing for a single predicted outcome. Personal supershift navigation. Now let's get specific about applying personal foresight to navigate the supershifts we've discussed throughout this series. Navigating IntelliFusion. As AI and human intelligence increasingly merge, your relationship with intelligent technologies becomes a critical factor in personal futures. Those who develop effective AI collaboration skills, knowing when to delegate to AI, when to augment their work with AI, and when to maintain human judgment, will have significant advantages. Consider creating a personal AI strategy that identifies which aspects of your work might be enhanced or automated by AI, what uniquely human capabilities you should develop and emphasize, how you might experiment with AI tools to discover personalized workflows, what ethical boundaries you want to maintain in your use of AI. Instead of seeing AI as either a threat that will replace you or a magic tool that will solve everything, develop a nuanced understanding of how different AI capabilities intersect with your specific skills, interests, and aspirations. Navigating generational drift. As demographic shifts reshape workplaces, markets, and societies, your ability to work effectively across generational differences becomes increasingly valuable. Those who can bridge perspectives between boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and emerging generations will find opportunities in almost any field. Consider how you might develop cross-generational communication skills and cultural fluency. Position yourself at intersection points where generational transitions create needs. Build mentoring relationships that flow in both directions, learning from both older and younger colleagues. Identify how your generational perspective provides unique insights and value. Navigating power flow. As energy systems evolve toward more distributed, renewable models, consider how these shifts might impact not just global systems, but your personal choices. How might changing energy economics affect your location options or housing decisions? What careers might emerge at the intersection of renewable energy and your current field? How could energy transitions create community involvement or investment opportunities? Navigating reality remix. As physical and digital realities increasingly blend, consider how these shifts might transform your personal and professional life. How might AR/VR technologies change how you work, learn, socialize, or engage with healthcare? What skills might you need to effectively navigate increasingly blended realities? How might your physical location and requirements evolve as digital experiences become more immersive? Navigating bionexus. As biology and technology continue to merge, longevity and health management become increasingly central to personal foresight. How would your career and financial planning change if you expected to live and work 20 to 30 years longer than previous generations? What investments in health and wellness might pay dividends through extended vitality? How might emerging health technologies create new opportunities for monitoring, prevention, or treatment? By considering these super shift implications at a personal level, you can develop more nuanced, adaptive strategies for navigating transformation. Building personal foresight habits. Like any capability, personal foresight strengthens through consistent practice. Here are 5 habits that can help you build this muscle. Future journaling. Regularly document observations about changing conditions and their potential implications for your life and work. Review these notes periodically to identify patterns and refine your thinking. Scenario conversations. Engage friends or colleagues in structured discussions about how different domains might evolve. These conversations often surface blind spots in your thinking and introduce new perspectives. Decision premortems. Before making significant life decisions, imagine looking back from the future on that decision going wrong. What factors might you have overlooked? What assumptions might prove incorrect? Edge exploration. Regularly expose yourself to ideas and experiences outside your usual domains. This might include reading in unfamiliar fields, attending unconventional events, or connecting with people whose perspectives differ significantly from yours. Future self-dialogue. Periodically imagine conversations with your future self 5 to 10 years ahead. What would they want you to know? What opportunities or challenges might they see that you're currently overlooking? These practices don't require massive time investments, but they do demand consistency. Even 15 to 30 minutes per week dedicated to personal foresight can significantly enhance your capacity to anticipate and adapt to change. Overcoming personal foresight barriers. Despite its value, personal foresight often encounters psychological and practical barriers. Let's address some common obstacles. Many people experience future anxiety, the emotional discomfort that comes from confronting uncertainty and potential disruption. This can lead to avoidance or denial rather than proactive engagement with possible futures. To overcome this, start with positive scenarios before exploring challenges. Focus first on exciting possibilities and opportunities before addressing potential threats. This creates psychological momentum and reduces the tendency to avoid foresight altogether. Another common barrier is the tyranny of the urgent, the way immediate demands crowd out longer-term thinking. When every day feels packed with pressing tasks, it's hard to make space for exploring possible futures. Combat this by scheduling regular, protected time for foresight activities. Even 30 minutes per week, treated as a non-negotiable appointment with yourself, can maintain continuity in your future's thinking. You might combine this with other activities, like using commute time for future-oriented podcasts or incorporating Foresight questions into regular walks or exercise. Many people also struggle with confirmation bias, the tendency to notice information that confirms existing beliefs while filtering out contradictory signals. This can lead to narrow, self-reinforcing views of possible futures. To counter this, deliberately seek out perspectives that challenge your assumptions. Follow thinkers you disagree with. Engage with sources outside your usual information diet. Ask friends or colleagues to play devil's advocate with your future expectations. Finally, there's the challenge of connecting foresight to action. Many people engage with futures thinking as an interesting intellectual exercise, but struggle to translate insights into concrete choices. Address this by ending every foresight session with one specific action item. It might be small, researching a new skill, having a particular conversation, or exploring a potential opportunity. But this practice bridges the gap between thinking about the future and actively shaping it. Making it personal. As we close this episode, I want to emphasize that personal foresight isn't about predicting a perfect future or optimizing every decision. It's about developing greater awareness, adaptability, and agency as you navigate life's evolving landscape. The future will surprise us all, sometimes delightfully, sometimes painfully. Personal foresight doesn't eliminate uncertainty or guarantee success. What it offers is a more intentional, informed approach to navigating change and a greater capacity to respond creatively to whatever unfolds. So here's my challenge to you. Take 1 hour this week for a personal foresight mini retreat. Find a quiet space with minimal distractions, bring a journal or digital note-taking tool, then work through these simple questions. What significant changes am I noticing in my field, my community, and the broader world? What assumptions about my future might need questioning based on these changes? What 3 distinct scenarios might unfold in my life and work over the next 5 to 10 years? What capabilities, relationships, or resources would serve me well across multiple possible futures? What one specific action can I take this month to increase my options and resilience? This simple exercise, repeated regularly, can dramatically enhance your capacity to navigate transformation with purpose and confidence. In our next episode, we'll step back and integrate everything we've explored in this segment on practical applications. We'll reflect on the journey from world building to strategy development to personal foresight, consolidating key insights and preparing for the next phase of our exploration. Until then, keep scanning, keep exploring possibilities, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.